I have time to tune up a lot of things, and that's why I was so excited. But it did not happen, and you know, it's just very frustrating for me.
I had read some stuff regarding that whole thing, that they have to reintroduce you to the general public because of some of the stars right now that the UFC has. But I mean, I live in the Toronto region. You know what the number one question I get from mixed martial arts fans is all the time, that have never met me before? The number one question I always get, it doesn't matter if I'm pumping gas at a gas station, if I'm buying milk at a grocery store, if I'm jogging around my neighborhood, if I'm taking my son to a soccer game or something like that. The number one question people ask me all the time is, what's going on with George St-Pierre?
That's the thing, like I just said. What I'm doing right now is I'm trying to also change the game. It's people that are familiar with hockey, baseball. Back in the day, when you have guys in the 70s, 80s, their contract was, they didn't have the fair share. And I think a lot of the fighters, unfortunately, they don't have the power and the position that I have. A lot of them are pissed off because they have no choice they cannot take a year off. They have to put money on the table for their family. And on top of that, a lot of these guys that are fighting end up with severe damage, you know, like brain damage. They're not the same person in the beginning of their career and at the end. I'm very fortunate. I think I'm the same guy. I don't think I'm too much damage in here. Hopefully not. But I'm very healthy, which is the most important thing, and I'm very healthy and I'm wealthy, so I can fight that battle for them. And until pretty recently, because I was focusing on Toronto, I was like, when I focus on one thing, it's like a funnel for me. I don't see nothing else. I eat this, I sleep on it, I train on it, I drive on it. Everything I do is for that. And just today, a lot of things brought up to my ear. Recently, my agent talked to me. I noticed there's a few organizations that want to start an association. Also, there's other option, fighting somewhere else. So I could fight again for UFC. I could fight for another organization, or I could never fight again. But be part of an association, or there's plenty of options that I didn't consider yet because I was focusing on one thing.
So, one of the things that I do when I talk on my podcast, and some of the interviews that I've done talking about you, some of the articles that I've written, I said, I introduce you to the fans here, to the general public, as the greatest welterweight champion in UFC history. I said, but that might not be George St-Pierre's legacy. There's the potential of you perhaps starting a union and really putting your stamp, or at least helping create some sort of union for the fighters to support. And I believe that will not only add to your legacy 20, 30 years when our grandkids are talking about what we're doing today, but that would magnify you to the level of what I would believe would be like a Muhammad Ali of mixed martial arts.
It's just what is happening now. It's not if it will happen. It will happen sooner or later. It's like any other sport. It will happen. And I'm the guys like me, Conor, guys that are big draw. They can fight that battle. The guys that have no choice, or guys, for example, that they just lost. They're on 2 losses, 2 straight losses, and they're waiting for their next fight. And they're on contract with UFC. They're waiting maybe a year. And then after a year, they receive a phone call. They're like, "Oh, finally, we don't need you. You're out of UFC." This should not happen. You know what I mean? Because these poor guys, they need money. And I'm just giving you one example of things that are very frustrating for a fighter. Because I've been on the other side. Now I'm doing very well for myself. You know, I have a lot of money. I don't complain. I'm very happy. But I've been on that side before. I work very hard. I'm not born like this. I'm not born wealthy. I've been a time I was working 3 jobs at the same time. You knew me back then. I was broke. I was very broke. And I know what a real fighter's life is for most of them. Most of them doesn't come from a wealthy family. They have to do a lot of sacrifice. And a lot of them have a family to feed. And they can't afford to be treated like this. It shouldn't be like that. This is not right, and I will always be for the right way, and this is not right. I'm not asking for something too much. We're asking for a right way, and I think this is something, guys, high-profile fighters should stand for. Fight for the one that cannot fight, and I think it's something that it's a good cause for the sport. It's not if it will happen; it will happen eventually. Am I going to be part of it? Yes or no? I don't know. This thing just got brought up to me pretty recently.
I'm one of those guys. Anyone, I think our pal Neil's on the side over here. If anyone knows anything about me, I'm all about seizing the moment, carpe diem, know where you are, remember when certain things happen in your life. And I can guarantee you, everyone in this audience, you're going to remember what he just said over the past 5 or 10 minutes, because this is a game changer in my opinion. And I've talked about this at length. I've talked about Conor McGregor. I don't know how much longer I think he's going to be in the UFC, because he's not going to take certain things that are being thrusted upon him, especially in terms of finances, because he can make a lot more money. He looks at Floyd Mayweather and says, wait a second, what's going on here? Why is Floyd getting such a big piece of the pie? So that's just something I took flack for it a while ago. You're now hearing it from George. The game is going to change, in my opinion. Before I ask the next question, Adam has a microphone. If you guys want to start asking some questions to George or myself, put your hand up. Adam, he's right here. He'll come out and see you. We'll check the mic right now. We're just waiting for the mic to come on, guys. 1 second.
Fucking sound.
But the bottom line is it working? All right, I will
think
wait.
it works. I hear the.
I'll wait for my next question. Go ahead.
I have a question and then a comment. My question is...
Oh, sorry, I couldn't see you with the light. I like to look someone.
Walk forward!
I like to interact. I interact a lot with my fam through social media, but I'm a good old-fashioned guy. I like to interact in person. That's my thing, you know. I'm not too much of a technology guy, but yeah, I like to see someone when I talk to him.
Okay, first of all, I'll start with a comment. I think you're the greatest wrestler the UFC's ever seen. Far and away. Second, my question. What would you think of a rematch with Nick Diaz?
Yeah, baby!
Because to me, Nick Diaz is the greatest fighter in the UFC. Fighter.
Look, it's funny that you brought it up, and I hear the name Nick Diaz versus myself. It brings a lot of excitement. When I met Dana White a few weeks ago, we were talking about potential opponent, and the name that was coming back was Nick Diaz and Michael, and then one guy that was with us, he mentioned Michael Bisping, and we both got very excited. So of course I would be very excited to fight Nick Diaz. With my last fight with Nick Diaz, I was not very satisfied with it for a different reason. I don't like giving excuses, but I don't like to finish a fight when the guy raised my arm and the other guy has not a smile, but I like to win a fight, and when I shake his hand, I like him to acknowledge the fact that I'm better than him. And when I fought Nick Diaz, I felt like it did not happen. So I would like to have another opportunity to prove it to myself and to himself. That's one of the fights that I would be interested of, for sure.
I'm not saying nothing because I got to deal with the Diaz brothers all the time, and I'm sure they're going to see this. I'm not going to have any reaction. But I'd love to see it, of course. I know you.
I think it's a great clash of person. You know what makes great fight, guys? People talk about the fight. I think it's the fight, but it's also the charisma. I think to the public eye, and I'm not saying Nick Diaz, I think he's a great person. I'm sure he is. I don't know him personally, but I know people that are friends with him, and everybody told me he's a nice person, but his character is a little bit different than mine. And I think it's a great clash. I think he's a perfect antagonist to who I am, and I'm the perfect antagonist of who he is. I think that's why this fight is very interesting. And plus, he's one of the guys that I have a big rivalry with him, and I feel like I have unfinished business with him as well. So I would never turn down a fight with Nick Diaz if things are aligned correctly.
I can attest that both the Diaz brothers are absolutely fantastic guys. Some of the best interviews I've ever done have been both with Nick and Nate Diaz. They're very educated when it comes to nutrition. They're very, very smart guys, but they know how to get under people's skins. And I'll never forget the press conference at the Forum, or the Bell Center in Montreal, when he kept going and going and going. And you were just looking down, and eventually you looked over, and I was standing there with the Sportsnet camera, just waiting, and you looked at me, and I was like, that was the worst look I've ever seen in your eye. I thought you were going to literally get up and beat somebody, and I said, this is going to be an ugly night tomorrow night.
He really did a great job getting under my skin, because normally people, they sing the same song over and over. Oh, George is a quitter, blah, 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 blah. But he attacked me from a different angle. And when you fight a guy, the fight starts in the press conference, when you start talking about each other. And it happened also when Conor McGregor fought, I believe, Nate Diaz. That's why Conor lost the fight. He got into that emotional fight that he shouldn't have done. That's why he lost the fight with Nate Diaz. And Nick was trying to do the same thing with me. And he really he did succeed a little bit at one point, because he was questioning my integrity. And this is something I take very personal. Saying I'm a cheater, because I've been very outspoken about performance enhancing drug, and he says I was accusing me of taking that stuff, and it kind of bothers me a little bit, and he still does. So for that's one of the reasons why I would like to get it back.
I don't know if you guys noticed, George is getting upset, so I'm just gonna move over here.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Who's got a question? Hands up right there.
Okay, I just came back from 4 months at TriStar. I worked with Sandro. That man is a genius. For people that are just starting out in the sport, how do they pick the proper coach?
Well, it's a question I have. It depends where you come from, what is your background, how old are you. It depends on a lot of things. I would say first, if some people have kids and they want their kids to do martial art, I'm talking about kids that are under 12 years old. The best thing you can do for them to develop their athletic ability, their nervous system, to prepare them to any kind of sport, is to put them into gymnastics. And we have this idea, I don't know why, we have this idea in North America that guys, and when I was at school, it's the same thing. Guys play hockey growing up. Some girls do gymnastics, but guys that do gymnastics growing up, they were making fun hat. You know, people were making fun of them. They were like, oh, it's a girl sport. This is absolutely wrong. One of the biggest regrets in my life is I should have started gymnastics when I was young. It would have made me such a better athlete. It would have developed my motor skill, my nervous system so much better. And I teach seminars sometimes. If I teach a seminar to people that never done gymnastics, never done martial art in their life, and they come from different sport, always the best guys that I have in my seminar are people who had gymnastic background. Gymnastic or ballet as well, surprisingly, because it's a form of basic gymnastic. So if you have a kid under 12 years old, put him into gymnastic. Gymnastic, it's not only tumbling. Gymnastic is going up the stairs, climbing in a tree. Gymnastic is the capacity of an individual of moving. It teaches you how to move in a better, efficient way. So I would say gymnastic is the best approach for martial art. Once you have maybe experience in martial art, or if you're older and you want to start training right away, there is no better style. You have to find what is the best for you. Maybe you're someone that will be more successful in wrestling. Maybe because I consider wrestling as a martial art. Maybe you would like more boxing, maybe taekwondo. So it's really up to you. But I know this, that when you're a kid, gymnastic is the best thing that you can do for them. Best thing by far.
Just wanted to thank you. It was amazing watching you guys train every day. Thank you so much. Tell Sandro I say hi.
Thank you.
Wait, before you pass the mic off, have you seen Faraz's kids, his two sons?
Yeah, Amin just got in, eh?
Amin just got into the UFC, his brother.
Well, no, his two sons, when they do gymnastics, they're like this big. Have you seen them roll around the cage?
Probably seen them around the gym.
I've seen them do backflips.
The new generation of athlete coming into mixed martial art, they will be a different level. It would be the same thing that when you watch hockey in the 70s and you watch hockey now, it's so much faster and everything. Sometimes we don't know if it's the person is better, but the technology is better. And when I talk about technology, that's what make people better in sport. I'm talking about knowledge. And mixed martial arts is a new sport, but the different ways that of training, the new knowledge that these guys will gain, oh my God, it's scary. I will be gone when they come.
Do you remember how the guys used to cut weight in TKO?
Oh God, it was terrible. Some guy were, I have to tell you a story. Like, it was so stupid, and I did it myself, and I'm ashamed of it, but I'm a kind of guy, I like to make fun of myself. So we got out of the sauna, right? This is completely illogical. I see some guy doing it. We got out of the sauna to cut weight. Then after we grab a bottle of water, taking a little sip, and jump in a pool. So what it does is it cut the process of sweating. So you want to sweat and lose the weight as fast as possible because it drains the energy of your body. So we put back liquid into our body and then we jump in the pool, which is cut the heat of our body. It cut the sweat, so it's completely stupid. But yeah, back in the day we were not very educated on how to do things.
But it's amazing how incredible it is now. It's literally a science. I mean, when I talked to Chris Weidman last, the way he water loads is unbelievable. The gallons of water that he has. I've seen you with water before. He had like 2 or 3 or 4 during interviews. I'm like, how is your body doing that? But he's got it down to a science. These guys are absolutely amazing. You have a question?
Hi, good evening, George.
Good evening.
How are you? How are you tonight?
Fantastic, thank you.
I just want to let you know that you're one of my favorite fighters of all time. I rank you up there with John Jones and Floyd Mayweather, Mike Tyson, as one of the best fighters I've ever seen.
Thank you.
And I wish you all the best in your future activities. You said earlier you're healthy and wealthy, right? My question to you is, why would you want to come back to fight? Do you feel you have anything else to prove? Because I feel you have nothing else to prove. I mean, your record speaks for itself. You had 2 losses throughout your career, and you avenged all of them. And my favorite fight that I saw of you was actually with you against Frank Trigg when you submitted him. So at this point, like, I don't think there's anything else you have to prove, but why would you want to come back?
I agree. Why would I want to come back? And it's a good question that I asked myself in the process, and I'm going to explain the reasoning behind it from my point of view. Right now, I took 3 years off. All the knowledge that I gained in those 3 years is phenomenal. I gained so much knowledge, and I've been working on so much different techniques. Believe it or not, I'm so much better than I was in my last fight, and I'm more hungry. I have more fun. And all the things that I've done in my life that I regret the most, I've done a lot of stupid things, of course, but all the things that I regret the most are things that I didn't do. So if you understand, I've done things that I regret, but all the things that I regret the most is stuff that I didn't do. For example, one of my friends, he passed away, and I never tell him how I care about him and how important he was for my life, and things like that. Things that I should have done and I didn't do. So for that reason, I don't want to end up grow old at 75 years old and tell myself, hey, I was in the prime of my career while I was retiring and semi-retiring. I really wonder how I would match up with these new generation of guys, because in training I was killing it. I was like doing the best I ever did. I really wish I could have gone back and at least finally know how I would do it. Not for nobody, for myself. I know every time you step in the octagon, you put your life on the line. It's not like other sport like hockey, tennis. You put your life in jeopardy. But if all the stars are aligned and it's a fight that excites me, and contractually everything is good, That's why I want to do it. I want to do it, I mean, I like my fans and I love you. I want to do it for myself. And if I do it and I fail, when I grow up, I will say, at least I did it the best I could. And you know what? And I failed. In life, I've never been afraid of failure. Of course, I don't want to fail. But everything that I attempt in my life, I was ready to fail. And you know what? If you fail, you have to accept and know why you're failing. And that's why I want to do it. Because I think I'm the best I've done. And I don't want to do this until I'm 40 years old. I want to do maybe a few more. Things that are exciting me, that give me excited.